So I would say this 2024, what you can try and do for yourself is to be realistic about your goals. You know, most of the times we watch people say, you know, I've lost this amount of weight during this, you know, period of time, and you start wishing that that would be you. The truth is, if you set an achievable goal, you are highly likely to achieve it because it is realistic. Right. Even psychology backs that up, because weight loss, most people, when they think about their body goals or achieving their weight that they intend to achieve, they work on the body, but they forget to work on the mind, because it's the mind that gets us to where we are. Most of the times, if you find yourself overweight, it is because you really were trying your best to resist certain urges, but you couldn't really get yourself to that level of control whereby you went overboard. So that means even as you consider your body, don't forget to consider your mind as well. That's why we always encourage a holistic approach, meaning other than just you eating healthy and also exercising and moving your body, try and also do positive self-talk whereby you're not driving yourself crazy about achieving certain goals, and also being realistic this year and say, it might take me 6 months to lose a certain amount of kilos, but once I get there, I know I can maintain this weight. And also understanding, is this the weight that I am supposed to carry? Meaning, does this work with my body mass index? So if I'm a certain height and I'm a certain weight, I need to make sure that this weight that I'm carrying is healthy for me. It might be that I need to gain weight for me to get to a healthy weight. It might be that I need to lose weight. But in order for me to know and understand that, I have to set a realistic goal, not a goal that everybody else sets for themselves, because you are your own person. Yeah.
And you did talk about the mind.
Yeah, Kenya, the gastric balloon is really, almost every Kenyan influencer and celebrity is doing it. I would say the first thing is, I'm not the type of person that would take myself through a procedure, mainly because of my health journey. I have gone through sickness, and when I think about going somewhere to get something done or taking something just so I can lose weight, I feel like it is extreme to me, because I have been there where doctors needed to take care of me or go into theater. So I don't think about doing something like that. But I also approach it with grace, in the sense that there are people who really have struggled for a very long time. And you know what's interesting is, when it comes to weight, sometimes people think it's only just about willpower. It's not necessarily about your willpower. It also is about your hormones. Most people haven't figured out that the weight that they are carrying is because of hormones. So meaning your weight that you are carrying is because of something going through your bloodstream that is in extreme. Maybe you haven't been sleeping early enough, and so because of that, you find that you find yourself wanting to snack a little bit more, because there are hormones that are imbalanced. Or maybe because you've been working really, really late, or you've been working really hard and you're stressed, you find you've been putting on the weight so easily, even though you spend the day at work without eating, but when you come home, whatever little you eat, you put on the weight. It's because of a hormone, insulin. It stores more fat no matter what you do. If it's high, the levels are high, you store more fat. So for the people who are using any kind of procedure, or you know, they're taking something for them to lose weight, that is their personal decision. I know for me, I wouldn't be able to go through that, mainly because the more I learn about the human body, the more I realize that we are able to achieve so much. It is hard it is difficult, to be honest, because you need to get to a certain place where you've decided to do something for yourself, and you have to stay disciplined at it. And not everybody has that discipline. For some people, they'll struggle because, again, we've talked about this. For some people, they have prioritized their children, they have prioritized their jobs and everything else. So they're not really going to take in the time to do extra when it comes to themselves, honestly. But I think the one thing that I would say has helped me to understand anyone who's struggling with this and is trying their best to find a solution, it's the fact that someone, you know, that phrase, a drowning man will clutch at a straw. Anything they can find, they'll take. you know, and that's a situation where I don't want anyone to be, because I've been there, where I've been so sick, and anything you told me I would have tried. I would have paid money to try and be well.
Right.
So they are also trying to find a solution for themselves, and they're doing their best, as long as they understand that whatever it is you do in life will still need maintenance. You're still going to need to maintain it. If you get a procedure like a gastric balloon procedure, at some point you're still going to need to maintain it.
Like a liposuction.
Yes, you're still going to need to maintain it, because I was even watching a video just 2 days ago, and it was explaining about the gastric balloon, interestingly enough. And when I was watching it, I noticed that before you begin the process, there are certain things you need to do. And then when you start, once the procedure is done, they have to introduce things slowly, right? Like a clear liquid first, and then they'll introduce something thicker like a yogurt. Then they'll introduce, you know, and it's period of time like 7 days, a number of days. Now I was like, if you can do that, see, you can do it.
You can do this.
Yeah. I was, you know, in my mind, right? But then I'm not in that situation. The person who's choosing to do that, I was thinking to myself like, wow, okay, so for 7 days you're going to need to just take clear liquid, or for whatever number of days. I don't want to get it wrong. But then I was like, okay, if this balloon wasn't already inserted, would you have been able to do it? If no, then that means you needed it, because it means there was something that you fought but you were not able to. And it's not something that everyone else is going to understand. No one else is going to be able to understand. It will be a personal thing. There are people who have even commented about me and said I'm losing too much weight, but again, they don't know how much I weigh, my height. Emotions is very important, and this is the one thing that we struggle with collectively. I don't even care what people say. I feel like everyone in the health industry, wellness, and everybody else struggles with portions. Mainly because how we were raised to eat our food, finish our food, blah, blah. Everything. So you get to a place where you're like, oh, the food is here, so we need to eat it. Most people don't have the self-control to say, I actually don't need to eat right now. I can actually wait, and then I'll eat at the time when I'm hungry. So that is important. And by portion control, we mean when you are serving your plate, you need to make sure that half of your plate has vegetables, whichever they'll be. It might be managu, kanzera, it might be spinach, it might be cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, mishiri, everything, all that. You put half of the plate. And then you're going to need a portion of protein, whichever you're going to choose. Whether you will choose fish, you will choose omena, you will choose beans, you will choose dengu, that's still going to be protein. And you will pick a portion of that. And then you're going to do some healthy sources of carbohydrates. So with your portions, try your best to make sure that half of your plate covers vegetables. And if you're struggling so much with your weight and your blood sugar levels, then do a whole entire plate of vegetables, a whole entire plate. And then secondly, how you can be able to actually achieve your goals and eat healthier is to make sure that you start by eating fresh foods. This works for every single person. Fresh food can be a salad. It can actually be a green salad. Most of us don't think about salads as meals, but you can start with a salad, meaning you can take a tomato, an onion, a cucumber, and just chop it up, and that already is a salad, okay? And add an avocado in there. So when you start your meal, make sure it is fresh, because when you eat anything, you are eating from a point of breaking a fast. That's why it's break fast. Meaning you were sleeping, you are not eating, you're in a fasted state. So you start with fresh foods so that your body can be able to digest them better. Or you can start with a smoothie like what we have here today. That's still a healthy option. And again, you fill your smoothie with all the needed. You put everything
Let's talk about this.
So through extreme diets, or they might go to a very low body fat percentage such that it affects their hormones. They start missing their period and things like that, because really they have fed themselves this mental story that they need to be this size. And also when we talk about the mental, we have to make sure that you understand, even as you put in time to take care of yourself, you have to reduce stress, because stress really does affect how your body carries weight. Because when you are stressed and you think too much or you obsess over something, research proves that When you obsess over something, you are more likely to actually make the mistake that you're trying to avoid.
Right.
So even if it will be long term, it will still catch up with you at some point. So the stress levels really do cause inflammation all throughout the body, and inflammation is just a pathway to illness, okay? And the stress levels also really do raise your levels of a hormone known as cortisol, and cortisol is a fat storage hormone. So if you're really trying to lose weight, you have to work on your mental, because if you don't do that, you'll be doing yourself a disservice. You will actually get to a place where your cortisol levels are very high, right, and you just keep gaining the weight and you don't understand what's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
And I understand some people even have a very bad breakout,
yeah,
on their faces just because of stress.
Because of stress, because of acne. It comes about because of hormone levels, right? So when you think about the body and how it works, it's very interesting how your hormones are released to do certain things and perform certain functions. When you go through extreme situations, your body will also try to naturally protect you. And in that way, maybe let's say, for instance, you are crossing the road and then a car appears really quickly, you will act on reflex, and that will actually prompt you to release certain hormones, right? And so you're in that state of fight or flight, and that's stressful. But the thing is, we have to understand that our body translates stress as stress everywhere. So if you're taking yourself through an extreme diet, or if you're being chased by a lion, or if you were about to cross the road and a car came through, that means you're in a state of stress. Your body is not going to think this is because of a lion, this is because you're still putting yourself through stress. So the reaction will still be that there will be high levels of cortisol, and cortisol works together with insulin. And when insulin is high, then there's a certain hormone that's a male hormone called testosterone. It also increases in the body. So when that increases, you get acne. You actually get really, really bad acne that comes from stress. Right. And that's why you find most of the times if a woman has PCOS, you find that they actually have acne, because it comes from, it started with high stress, it started with high blood sugar, insulin, then it translates to high testosterone, then it leads to the very stubborn acne. Right. And it's not something you're going to get rid of by applying something topically. You're going to get rid of that by working on the inside.
So that's why it's very important for us to take care of ourselves wholesomely.
Wholesomely, because if you don't do that, you'll always feel frustrated. It will always feel like you can't achieve no matter what you try. The most expensive thing you buy will not get rid of the acne. It might try and maybe kind of lower it down a little bit, but not get rid of it for good.
Right.
Yeah.
When people talk about,
the first thing is you need to make sure that you make your goal long term. Meaning, don't give yourself the pressure to actually achieve a certain goal right now, like giving yourself a short term, like 1 month or 2 months. Because as I mentioned, there is a lot of science that backs this, and even psychology, that people who actually overwork themselves to achieve something in a short period of time, it's like they say, how you get it is how you lose it. So if you really get it really quickly, chances are you might lose it very quickly, right? Yeah, because you didn't necessarily set a realistic goal for yourself. So I would say make it long term, even if it means this entire 2024, I have given myself time to lose X amount of kilos. And when you do this, the first thing that's going to happen is you're not going to give up that easily, because you'll tell yourself, okay, at least this month it's been 2 kilos. That's still okay. I have another month to lose 1 more and another month to lose 1 more. And a perfect example that I keep giving is myself. In November, I knew I was at 85 kilos. Right. That's not a healthy weight for me. I need to be at about 65 to 69. So I said, I need to lose this amount of kilos. And I gave myself 3 months. And within that time, I have already lost 12 kilos. Wow. Now I need to lose more.
No wonder you're looking this bomb.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. And I gave myself time. But again, as someone who is into fitness and health, I would have, the younger me, I would have given myself like 2 weeks, because sometimes I needed to do certain things and I would still be able to achieve it. But realistically for me, that would be 3 to 4 months. Right. And I stretch it. And because I had time, I was able to achieve, because I was realistic about it, right? So that's the first thing you're going to do. And then the second thing is, once you've given yourself this time frame, now come in and make these goals much smaller. So maybe you might say, this month of January, this month of February, what I'm going to try and do is make sure that every time I eat, I have added vegetables to my diet.
Right.
Okay, so this is realistic enough whereby we're not saying you have to run miles like you were saying everybody's going to start running.